Has modern physics finally found God? This is Nassim Haramein at the International Space Federation. He's a physicist that is describing how these tiny units of energy, they're billions of times smaller than a proton, are filling all space and time, and they come together and create the material world that we experience, all the matter that we see. And where they're not coming together to form matter, we experience it as empty space. So while it seems empty, it's actually filled with enormous amounts of energy. So this is the source of the information, the energy, and the dynamics of what's creating the material world, including our bodies, and because we are not separate from it, we are influencing it. Might this be the answer to how we create our reality? And that brings us to the oldest idea of what God is. God is described as all the omnis, omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent. But somewhere along the way, we got the idea that God was something separate from us, separate from the world. What if the truth is we are inside the mind of God? The seemingly empty space is God, and that we are God ourselves. Even the Bible says God isn't somewhere else. It is the world that we exist in. By the way, my name is Dr. Kat Lewis, and I'd like to explore the fascinating connection between science, spirituality, the nature of reality, and your health. If that sounds interesting to you, then please like and follow me. Nearly a century ago, this book was written. It was over a century ago now, in the 1920s. This book was written about an expedition that men went on to the Far East to study these people who could materialize and dematerialize their bodies. They would sit down to eat and food would appear. They could travel great distances in just minutes. And the book is already talking about this ocean of particles, this ocean of infinite energy that we live in. The vast sea of God's creative, unlimited, moving space is crystal clear, yet is completely full of vibrating, emanating energy. This is what Nassim says. This energy is infinite. 10 to the 93 grams per centimeter cube. So in one sugar cube volume of space, there's 10 to the 93 grams of energy. Just a fraction of that one sugar cube volume of space could fuel our world indefinitely. It says known as aqueous substance. That's also another term that Nassim uses often to describe it. He says it has fluid dynamics. Other spiritual traditions also refer to it as an ocean, in which all elements are suspended in harmonious relation, ready to respond to the call of the vibratory rate that will allow them to coalesce into form. This is absolute law, and none can stay true course, right? So it's coalescing into form. It's creating the material world. Our frequency, what we think about the most, our thoughts, create a vibration, and that vibration then influences these particles or these units of light. So you might be asking, because I know I was, how did these people know about this, right? They didn't have the technology we have to look at this now. How did they know? Well, what happens is as you bring your attention deep within yourself, you start to experience this energy. I feel it all the time now. I've had a number of different experiences that I've shared over my other videos. You can go check them out. But I feel a constant flow of energy all the time in my brain, in my body, all around. So we just have to develop our senses to become aware of it. So in the Masters of the Far East, it also says molecules could appear as large as planets to these units. Atoms and molecules and planets and these electromagnetic energy units are simply different manifestations of the same principle that brings the units themselves into being. And so what Nassim Haramein is saying is that these are, again, billions of times smaller than a proton, and this dynamic, that dual torus dynamic, is going on at all scales of the universe. So at the subatomic particle level, the Planck spherical units, at the atomic level, the molecular level, at our tissue levels, over our entire body, the solar system, the galaxy, the universe. In the Seth books, which were written in the 1970s, Jane Roberts was a writer and a poet who was channeling this consciousness named Seth. Her husband would take notes as she would speak what Seth was delivering through her. And Seth said, all physical matter is the result of consciousness. You are a spirit. You form the body that you have, not the other way around. Seth also talked about these electromagnetic units, like the Planck spherical units that Nassim Haramein talks about. He says, highly simplified here, under certain conditions, these coagulate into matter. Those electromagnetic units of high enough intensity automatically activate the subordinate coordinate points. I didn't talk to you about that, but they are accelerated and propelled into matter far more quickly than units of lesser intensity. That was the first book I read about all of this kind of stuff, and it blew my mind. It literally made my eyes like feel like they were turning in on themselves. It was a mind flip, because we are the universe experiencing itself from this point of view. The Tao Te Ching, the Tao is the great mother, empty yet inexhaustible. So empty, it seems empty, but it's inexhaustible. There's enormous amounts of energy in it, and it gives birth to infinite worlds. So it's there, but we have to put our attention on it. If we don't consciously create a relationship with it, then it'll go on as it normally has been, where we don't notice it. It requires our attention, and this is what Seth says. The fact is that while you hold limited concepts of your own reality, then you cannot practically take advantage of many abilities that are your own. And while you have limited concepts of the soul, then to some extent you cut yourself off from the source of your own being and creativity. So that light at the center of each one of those units, we have that in the center of our chest. And when we don't consciously put our attention on it, we don't get access to all that energy and information and intelligence and creativity. Life and Teachings of the Masters of the Far East, they said, the greatest error you have made with Jesus' teachings is you have consigned them to the dim and misty past, instead of knowing that they can be applied right here and now if you only will. So that is us understanding ourselves as the field, consciously directing the field. That Jesus threw all forms to the winds and went straight to God. So all forms of like literature, like Buddhist teachings and Vedic teachings. So he studied a little bit of it, but eventually he went and threw all forms to God and went to the heart of this loving attainment, the light. He soon found that it did not take long years of weary plodding through dogmas, rituals, or creeds, that for which he was seeking was right within himself. We have to put our attention on it. If you like this content, please like, share so others can benefit, and follow me for more information. Oh, and by the way, if you want to learn how to start consciously putting your attention on this and activating that own light within yourself, check out my profile. I'm doing a 13-week course where we're going to read the Life and Teachings of the Masters together and then look at it through the lens of unified physics.